in a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP. We help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're tuned into DC's DFS Challenge with Dan Mader and Chris Pinto. Live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Heyo, and welcome back, DC Nation. You are listening to the DC's DFS Challenge show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, WWSRN, also presented to you by Belly Up Sports. As always, I'm your host, Dan Maynard, joined with my partner, Mr. Christopher Dowhauer. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I am feeling great. We are on our way to another Saturday night wonderful special. Of course, we have the DC's DFS Challenge Tournament that we'll be going over today. Congrats again to Mickey Cats 12, the first person in over a month who is not a host to actually win a week. So he will be in on the April drawing at the end of the month, or the beginning of May, I should say. And he'll be eligible to win $100 at championshipfootballs.com, which, of course, is the equivalent to a championship football, by Mr. Chaz Filardi, who will be on later today's show. He wasn't here last week. He was on vacation. He's back this week. So we're going to get you guys some money, win you some of the bets there, and then also we're going to get you some great advice on our DraftKings NBA DFS lineup cards in the first half of the show, like we always do. But first, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Manscaped. And with the first pick of the 2021 men's grooming draft, the Ball Saxonville Saguars selected Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Looks like Mel Kiper gave this an A-plus grade because this pick is a major upgrade for that Bush defense. So for all of my NFL draft fans out there, we have an exclusive 20% off promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at manscaped.com. The reason why Manscaped is the guaranteed #1 pick is because of the Performance Package. This package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Inside the Performance Package, you'll find products and liquid formulations that have been developed to turn your bathroom into a salon for your balls. So support the show and get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at manscaped.com. And with that out of the way, Chris, when you're looking over our DFS Challenge Tournament for tomorrow, which is the 7 o'clock games, there's 5 games on there. So kind of in between where we were last week and what we had been some previous weeks before, where it's not really just a very, very few select few, but it's not as big of a pool as we saw last week. So were you still able to find some value throughout your lineup?
I mean, I think I was. When I look around, you see a lot of guys who aren't going to be playing tomorrow, so there provides a lot of different value when that happens. You know, a lot of injuries. A lot of injuries. You got some teams still tanking, so you got a combination of the two, and hopefully you can find some good value with those.
Yeah, I agree with you there. There was value in the sense of if you know who is next up in the man rotation, then you can find some value throughout your lineups. Because I mean, it's not just these games that we happen to have for that tournament tomorrow. It's everywhere in the NBA where there's a lot of key players down right now.
Hey, absolutely. It seems that everybody's out for something.
So why don't we kick off the show like we normally do? We start off with your lineup card. We'll go through player by player. We'll seek out the value, see what we think, and then we'll go into mine, and then we should be ready for Chaz to come on the show.
Sounds good. All right, so talk about the injuries that are kind of affecting tomorrow. One of the big ones is going to be Damian Lillard. He's going to miss his second game in a row. So I'm going with point guard Anthony Simmons for $3,600. One of the things I liked about Anthony Simmons was last game that he played, which was on Friday. He dropped about 29.5 DFS points, which you can't beat that. He had 30 minutes. So the combination of the two gives me some hope that maybe he can produce. The one thing about Anthony Simmons is he pretty much has to score. He doesn't really do anything else. But you're hopeful that with, no Dame, he's going to have an opportunity to get some points out there. Then at a 2 guard, I'm going off with Paul George. Paul George is probably one of the hottest players right now. We're not sure if Kawhi is going to play tomorrow or not. It looks like more chance he's probably not going to, so I'm leaning towards hoping he doesn't play. And if he doesn't, Paul George over the last 5 games, he's had back-to-back 50-point games and then back-to-back 60-point games. So you got a guy who's on a hell of a streak right now with no Kawhi. And at $9,300, I'm taking a chance on him.
Yeah, 100%. Especially Kawhi shouldn't play tomorrow. That is the expectation. So Paul George is the man, the whole man, and nothing but the man for the Los Angeles Clippers. So that's a good star player to go with in that situation. I'm with you on that one.
And then that spending big on this next position also, I'm going Luka. Cost $10,900, a little expensive, but once again, a guy coming off a nice game. Had 63.8 points last game, and I think he had 54.8 the week before, or the game before, I should say. So you got 56 points. You're getting out of Luka. You got a guy averaging 50 at DFS points, so you can't really beat that. And I love the matchup versus Sacramento. Team plays no defense. Luka should have a chance to have a big game.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. He's also playing against Sacramento. We both, again, for the second week in a row, have Luka in our lineups because I frankly just can't. You can't win a tournament without him in your lineup. It's just what it boils down to. He's the only guy out there who has the potential to drop 70 with a low of 55, and you're just not going to find that. And that's why the $10,900 price tag is worth every single penny when you're trying to win a big tournament like this.
Absolutely. I mean, the guy also had I think 19 assists last game. So he's starting to hopefully hit his groove, and you're going to ride that as long as you can.
And making game winners and doing everything that we saw Luka do pretty much, at the tail end of last year, what made him the superstar, what made him the front-runner MVP entering the season. He's finally starting to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, he had a little bit of a down streak there for a little bit, but hopefully he's back and he's kind of, has more shooters around him. Got JJ Redick getting some more playing time around him, so hopefully he continues to get those assists, and, Luka's always going to score.
Oh, yeah.
In the power forward position, I'm kind of leaning towards the Dame thing again. I'm running out Carmelo Anthony there at the power forward position for $4,200.
The Melo.
Melo kind of hadn't been doing so good for a long time, but he's actually had back-to-back 20-minute games, or played 20 minutes, I should say, which is big for him because he hadn't had 20 minutes for a previous 8 games, I believe it was.
Well, I'm shocked he's not leaving these games on a stretcher because I don't even know he could play 20 minutes anymore.
Well, one of the good things is playing against a team like Charlotte. Melo tends to have his bigger games against some of the weaker competition. You saw him have a big game a couple weeks ago against Orlando. Usually when the teams are kind of beat up at the power forward position is usually when Melo gets to get his. And then once again, I'm looking for some scoring. Portland's going to have somebody else score other than CJ McCollum, so I'm going to try to hope that Melo has one of his better games tomorrow.
I love the value there, the $4,200.
Yeah, and I'm trying to pay some big salaries here. So I got
right.
I'm spending at the other position. I'm spending at center. I'm running out Karl Anthony Towns. You talked about guys who can get you 70 with a low of 50. Karl Anthony Towns has had 10 straight games until this past Miami game, where he scored over 50 points. Yeah, basically, and a guy who's you've seen have 60s and 70-point games mixed in there. So I'm hoping to ride him tomorrow. I love the matchup. The Clippers aren't great at center. You got kind of a banged up position there with Ibaka still kind of out. Zubac is, he's something, but
even if they were, like you said, other than Miami, no one's been able to stop Anthony Towns since he's been back anyway.
And the only reason Miami stopped him was because they blew him out and he only played 26 minutes. So even when they blow teams out, he usually still gets his time. So I'm hoping that a 26-minute game is something that has been abnormal in the last 10 games, like I was talking about. And like I said, that's a guy I want to spend my money on. You talk about Luka, but this guy's just almost as much money since he's been healthy as Luka has been. So in order to kind of spend all that salary, I'm going to ride with Rajon Rondo at my guard position. Taking a little bit of a chance. Rondo did have a nice little game. I think he's had back-to-back 20-point games.
Yeah, he's trying to work in more rotation.
Yeah, he's getting more in the rotation. He's still got Beverly hurt. No Kawhi helps, so yeah, he's got more ball handling opportunities. His assists have been up. He's having around 7 to 8, 9 assists. So he's been doing a little bit of everything. Scoring hasn't been that great, but Rajon gets you a little bit of everything. He has a chance to get you some rebounds, a chance to get you some assists, a couple steals. And the good thing about him is he's one of those sleeper guys who can get you a triple-double out of nowhere sometimes. And playing Minnesota, who's, we know notoriously gives about 120, 130 a game, and don't play any defense, he's got a chance to maybe have a sneaky good game tomorrow.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. You're gonna have to take some shots somewhere, and that's the key place to take a shot at where you could get double-digit assists, quite frankly.
And like I said, with the opportunity to handle the ball more with a Kawhi out, Rajon's been kind of the guy. They've been playing Reggie Jackson and him together a lot of times too in the backcourt. Yeah. So I like his opportunity to have a decent game tomorrow. The other one, I really struggled with this position because I had to find somebody cheap, and I was looking for somebody to kind of have some upside. So I went with Juan Hernan Gomez. I can say that correctly.
Oh, yes.
From the Minnesota game. It's hard because he's only getting about 20, 25 minutes a game. He's been all over the board this year. He's had games where he's done nothing. He's had games where he showed up and had good games. One thing is interesting about him, when he scores double figures, he also usually has at least 5 rebounds. So if he gets his playing time and he's out there and he produces, usually he's going to have a pretty good game. The reason I kind of struggle, like I said, is his playing time's kind of fluctuated, and he hasn't been super consistent with Karl-Anthony Towns. When Karl-Anthony Towns plays, he usually doesn't do so well. Now, they did play together the last game, but like I said, Karl-Anthony Towns only played 26 minutes, I believe it was. But I think when you look at the other power option for Minnesota right now, McLaurin, he's getting a lot of minutes, but he hasn't really been producing lately. So I'm hopeful that they kind of ride the hot hand per se, and give Hernan Gomez some more playing time, and he has opportunity. Maybe he can get a double-double for you tomorrow.
He is a guy who can get double-doubles, especially when he gets minutes. Look, I say this all the time, and I'm going to say it again when we go through my lineup card too. When you're looking to take shots, minutes and value and matchup is what I'm going to care about more so than have you been consistent. It's the DFS. You have to take a shot. That's a good player to take a shot on for the value that you have to seek out for. I like the move.
Yeah, it's $3,600. So like I said, I was trying to save some money, but I think that was a chance to try to take with him. I agree 100%. This other one's my last guy. I'm kind of riding a hot hand idea. Last game out, he had, I believe, 32.5 points. He did start as I'm going to the center position of Vernon Carey as my utility player. Vernon Carey started for PJ Washington. Washington could or could not be back. They're not quite sure. Even if he does play, I don't expect him to have a lot of minutes. He's coming fresh off an injury. They are playing Portland, who has a bigger front court with Kanter and Nurkic. So I kind of expected that they're going to kind of use Carey, especially after he had a very productive last game. He scored 21 points, had 6 rebounds. I'm trying to get somebody who's cheap, $3,700. That's what I had left to spend. So I look at a guy who I think has some upside and produced last game out.
Yeah. No, it's a great value too. I like it. I like you're taking strategic shots all throughout this lineup. I really like it so far. The upside, the combination of the upside and the floor, we're not going to tank out and bottom out either. Yeah,
and I'm also going with guys who've kind of been on a little bit of a roll lately. So I'm not just trying to go off of guys who've been, like you talked about, up and down. I'm talking about guys who hopefully are on a little bit of a hot streak and trying to ride them a little bit.
Yeah. Was that everybody? I thought you had one more.
That's everybody. That's everybody. The only guys I was going to kind of mention that were hard to keep off my lineup, and you might have them on yours. CJ McCollum was really tough to keep out because, with no Dame, he's probably going to be the primary scorer and ball handler.
I kept him off my lineup too, and it was definitely another difficult decision for me as well. I was kind of right there with you. I was like, oh, do I really want to pass on that? But here's the thing about that, and this is maybe why you ultimately left him off, is that even with Dame have been out, his ceiling still hasn't been that high. He still hasn't gotten to that 50. His top performance in the last week or so is 44 points. So being that you're going to have to pay almost $9,000 for him, and he's been playing without Damian Lillard, it was the fact that his ceiling hasn't been as high as I would need it to be to pay that price tag, which is ultimately why I wound up leaving him off my lineup.
Yeah, I think he was like $86 or $8,700. But to me, the big thing was I wanted to get Paul George. We talked about his ceiling of being 40 to 50 points. Paul George has been averaging 50 points. So that's something that I was like, for me, it was no debate. I would rather got the guy. Yeah, exactly. And the other guy I was kind of looking at, like I talked about a little bit earlier, was JJ Redick. He's getting more and more playing time in Dallas. I think he got about 20 minutes last game. He started knocking down the three. $3,500 isn't a bad value and kind of ride some guys while they're still cheap. And there was a player that I looked at that matchup against Sacramento. They give some open looks at 3-pointers, definitely. So I kind of had a hard time keeping him out of my lineup. But when I looked around, I just kind of figured that the best thing to kind of ride with was Anthony Simmons right now, because I'm going to ride that Portland doesn't really have any other scorers.
No, I can't argue with you there either. All right, let's dive into mine. Let's see how we match up. I want to mention it's been a little while since Chris beat me, but we'll get there.
It's true. Got me on that one.
I led us off, of course, with Luka. We talked about him, why he's a value, why you have to play him in these tournament leagues. So let me go with one of my 2 guards and I kick this thing off with going for value right off the bat. And again, I look for matchup, I look for minutes, and I look for value when I'm trying to find these, these lower tier guys. So I went with Gary Harris at $4,200. Orlando's playing Houston tomorrow. He hasn't always been great, but the minutes have been there. At the last 4 games, he's been in the high 20s to low 30s in minutes so far. He's had, a 19 fantasy point performance, 29 fantasy point performance, 16 fantasy point performance. Obviously, you're hoping he gets closer to 29 in that mark. But again, $4,200, give me 25 plus fantasy points. It's all I really need you to do at that price tag to be able to fit some of these other pieces around the lineup. As long as your minutes stay up there, I'm going to take the chance against Houston. You at least should have the opportunity to be able to do something. What do you think about Gary Harris there?
I mean, I think you make a great point. Houston's really beat up in the backcourt right now. They play absolutely no defense either. The only thing about him is that you kind of help with he's shooting the ball. Gary Harris kind of goes through stretches where he just doesn't shoot for some reason. He can shoot, he can score, he just refuses to do so sometimes. But the cool thing about him is he does play defense, so you get some steals out of him. You get some opportunity to get some other, little things that chip into you that 25 point mark that you're kind of talking about. So he doesn't just rely on the scoring, but you do hope they get some shots up. And against Houston, you definitely have a chance to do that.
Yeah, that matchup, you want to talk about a game that would not matter if it wasn't for fantasy basketball or betting in some kind of way. That game, no one's going to be watching that unless you got some kind of money on that game riding in one capacity or another. At my 3 position, I went with Jason Richardson. I felt really good about this move. Actually, he's only $5,200 going up against Sacramento, of course, there with Dallas. We want to talk about Luka getting assists. This is one of the guys that you're hoping he's getting assists to, quite frankly. And he's been plugging a lot of minutes. Low 30s, high 20s at the very least. He had 36 minutes a few games ago against San Antonio, coming off of a big 34 fantasy point performance against the New York Knicks, though, where he was able to get a little bit hot, able to do a little bit of everything. I do believe against Sacramento, because of the good matchup here, he should have a solid floor with a ceiling of where he might be able to get you 35 at $5,200. So where's your feelings on that?
That's another guy who also plays defense. That you not only just rely on the scoring, he does get you some steals. He can handle the ball, get some assists for you. I like the play, and I hope another guy you're hoping hits his shots. When he shoots and he's aggressive, he can definitely light it up. So you're hoping tomorrow that with opportunity playing against a team like Sacramento, he's going to have a lot of open looks, and he has a chance to really have a big game.
The elbow 3, which is what he excels at when he gets hot, should be open against Sacramento, and that's kind of what I'm counting on in that instance. I went my second superstar of the lineup. I was going back and forth on this one, but because he rested yesterday, he's definitely going to play tomorrow. And that's Pascal Siakam. Because Toronto's playing Oklahoma City. And this is one thing I'll say. While they've been weird about Siakam because they're kind of tanking, kind of not, whatever the hell Toronto's doing, when he plays, he plays. He plays 37, 36, 40 minutes over the last 3 games, 38 against Chicago. He's not playing every game, but when he plays, they let him go out there and they let him play. So I'm going to bank on the fact that we know he's playing tomorrow because he already rested. So he's going to get his top end minutes against a great matchup. $8,800. You're talking about a guy who talk about a little bit of everything. Talk about the double-double and steals and assists and everything like that with Toronto. I went with Pascal Siakam as my second superstar because of that fact. So I'm very curious to see where you think about this, because I think this is going to be a bit of a contrarian higher end play for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting play, but to your point, it's not like when he comes off this rest back-to-back games that he doesn't come out and produce and play the minutes like you're talking about. And one great thing about playing Oklahoma City is you have opportunity to get a lot of rebounds. The team doesn't shoot the ball so well, and teams at the center position getting like between 15 to 20, averaging 15 to 20 rebounds a game. So if Siakam plays some of the 5, you got a chance to have a really big game. And I like his quickness versus their matchups. Oklahoma City doesn't really have guys who really slide their feet well. Baisley's not a great defender. Brown's not a great defender. So he's got a chance to beat them off the dribble. Pascal's kind of a poor man Draymond a lot of times when he gets the ball and pushes it and moves it. When he gets those assists and he gets the rebounds, you have a chance the guy gets a triple-double, and that's not a bad play at all.
And shout out to Mark for joining the show. Yeah, I'm very excited about this one, especially you want to talk about guys who have been performing well the last couple of games. He's been hitting that 50 fantasy point mark the last 2 games in a row against Oklahoma City. I see no reason why he's not able to do it again, especially with no Fred VanVleet. More of the offense, more of the team is going to have to flow through Pascal Siakam in tomorrow's matchup because they're not expecting VanVleet to be out there. Another guy who I'm going with mostly due to injury is Chuma Okeke, because they don't expect Mo Bamba to play. So as long as he doesn't play against Houston, $5,200, this is a guy who comes through when he gets the minutes. He is a double-double guy. He is a guy who can get you that. And over the past couple of weeks, he's only been getting about mid to high 20s in minutes because they've been kind of, Mo Bamba's he's been kind of on a tear. You want to talk about a guy who's been on a fantasy tear? It's been Mo Bamba. But, again, he's not going to play tomorrow. So I would expect Okeke here to be able to be in a position to get maybe plus 30 minutes. When he gets plus 30 minutes, this is a guy who gets somewhere between 30 and 45 fantasy points when he plugs in those kind of minutes almost every single time. So I'm really excited about him, especially being one of my sleeper plays. And I'm picking apart this Orlando-Houston game right now.
Yeah, you definitely are. And the thing about Mo Bamba, I understand he was questionable. I know he got ruled out for tomorrow yet. But I think that even if he does play, it's going to affect Wendell Carter's minutes more so than it actually affects his. Because usually he comes in and plays the 5. So Wendell Carter is usually the guy who benefits when Mo Bamba's out. Okeke has a chance to have a good game. He is a guy who has, had shown streaks where he can knock down the 3, he can rebound, and you're looking for a game like you're pointing out the Houston game where you're going to have a lot of players probably get some minutes tomorrow because the game's probably not going to be super competitive and teams aren't really going to care who wins necessarily. So you're going to have a chance for guys to get kind of, really, especially the younger guys, getting a lot more minutes out there. And I think he's going to be a guy that'll definitely have a chance to have a double-double possibly for you.
I like it. Like the vote of confidence. Another sleeper I had, I went back to the Dallas-Sacramento game, and I'm taking Jalen Brunson. I'm taking the backup for Luka. I'm taking the guy who's been playing really, really well as a 6th man coming off the bench. Now, hopefully, he gets a few more minutes than he did against the New York Knicks a couple nights ago. He only had 17 and didn't do much fantasy-wise. But before that point, this guy, 28, 31, 30 minutes. He's been in that range. And all 3 of those games, 25, 27, 31 fantasy points. When he gets to play, especially coming off the bench, he gets to be the guy. Because usually they're giving Luka a break a little bit, and then he'll get on the floor with Luka as well. But he's coming off the bench. He has been lights out when he's actually getting the opportunity. I expect no reason why against Sacramento, what very well should be a high-scoring game, why he doesn't get that opportunity here as well. And I think there's a chance, there's an off chance here. You may see Dallas blow them out. And if that winds up happening, you'll see Brunson play more in the second half. But I'm loving Brunson coming off the bench here as a 6th man, getting to be the guy when he gets that opportunity. At $4,400, it's tough to beat the value, even though this is definitely a Jekyll and Hyde type of play.
Yeah, since Trey Burke's been injured, he's definitely stepped up his game and gotten the minutes more so. But to your point, Jalen Brunson is very dependent on playing. When he does play, he's very productive, as you pointed out. The problem is he gets consistent minutes. I'm a little bit worried about him just because you have a lot of guys who you're kind of rotating at that guard position. You got Hardaway Jr., you got Richardson, like you kind of talked about. You got Redick getting some more playing time. So if the blowout happens and he gets his minutes, I love the play. You have to kind of be a little bit worrisome a little bit, especially pointing that next game out. Sacramento is kind of a similar team in a lot of ways. And that's where you kind of hope that Brunson is out there more so that if he gets his 20, 25 minutes, he'll be productive. If he gets his 15 to 20, 17 minutes, you get a little bit iffy in that situation.
Going back to the well for the second week in a row on this player because he lit it up for me big time, even though I didn't wind up winning, but he lit it up for me big time anyway. Marcus Morris, going back to the fact that we don't really expect Kawhi Leonard to play here. And you want to talk about guys who've been getting a ton of minutes in a good matchup against Minnesota. $5,500, but this guy's been, he's borderline getting 40 minutes over the past few games, even with Kawhi Leonard in there. And he's shooting the ball. He's shooting the crap out of the ball. So I'm going to ride the hot hand in this one in a great matchup, a matchup where he's going to have to be leaned on possibly as the number 2 scorer next to Paul George in this game. Marcus Morris at $5,500, very few better values than that what I was able to find anyway.
No, I think that's a fantastic play. He was definitely a guy I looked at hard. I couldn't fit him in my salary cap situation, but when I look at him, as you pointed out, the Minnesota matchup's great. You saw him light up Detroit a couple of times, last week. Usually when he plays those weaker teams, like how Carmelo's be able to score against guys that are weaker. Marcus Morris is one of those guys that dominates teams that don't have good power forwards. I'm playing Juan Herger Gomez, but he doesn't play any defense. McLaurin doesn't really play any defense. Neither one is body-wise can really stick with Morris. And Morris's ability to knock down the 3 is the huge part about it.
He's been lights out this year.
Yeah, he's lights out last year for New York. People kind of forget what he did for New York last year. He can score. He's not his brother. He's got way more ability. So yeah, that's a guy who can easily get. get 20 sometimes, and he's a double. He gets rebounds. So I think you have a chance to get a double-double. He could play some of the 5 tomorrow. Minnesota's backups, other than Karl-Anthony Towns, aren't the biggest guys in the world, so he can play a lot of 4, a lot of 5. And I think he's going to have an opportunity to get a lot of minutes and get some shots up. That's always most important for Marcus Morris. He can shoot the ball. He's going to be productive.
Last but not least, I'm going with a guy who's been pretty consistent in a good matchup. I want Robert Covington at $5,800. This guy has been consistently getting high 20s in fantasy points, low 30s in minutes. He's got a chance against Charlotte tomorrow to get into that 30-ish range, which he was in against the Lakers a couple of weeks ago. I'm taking a chance here. This guy is able to get me a double-double in this particular matchup against Charlotte at that value to round out my utility player. Robert Covington, he can do a little bit of everything. That's what he does. He can rebound a little bit. He can shoot a couple of threes. He can play a little defense. And he gets to be kind of this little pest player now in the role that he has with Portland. And he's getting the minutes to go along with it, which is the big key for me. I was a little bit worried when Jerja came back, with Cantor, how many minutes was going to go around with that center position and everything like that. And because they've been playing him more and more at the 4 since Jerja has come back, he's been still getting his low 30s in minutes. So the consistency in that is there. And that's why I'm going with Robert Covington in this match against Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm looking for him not to do as well as you are because I have Melo. But having said that, I do think that Robert Covington is a great play because he plays 5, he plays the 4, he can play the 3. He can knock down that corner 3. And like you said, he does a little bit of everything. The one thing he's done really well this year is rebound. As long as he's out there getting his 7 to 10 rebounds, that's what the key is for him. And when he shoots the ball, you have a lot of guys on your team that need to shoot the ball tomorrow because that's kind of the knocks on some of these guys. Like when
that's typically what I do for my
score.
lineups, though. I go with guys who are going to need to be able to get hot and shoot the ball in the right matchups, and it's all about looking for the right value in the right matchups with the right minutes. But yeah, I mean, it's a tournament. It's a DFS tournament. That's the point. You got to take your risks, and I am not risk adverse by any stretch of the means, and I will take those guys and go for it. And if they all get hot, all of a sudden you have a team that could have had 10 Lucas in it, and that's what you're looking for, and that's what you need to win that DFS tournament. So again, that's on the link right now. If you're watching this stream, it's below in the comments, the link. Join it. It's free. The DC's DFS Challenge Tournament. If you win, you'll go to be eligible for the April drawing for championshipfootballs.com for Mr. Chaz Filardi, who's going to be on right after we come back from this break. So everybody keep listening to the DC's DFS Challenge show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network at www.SRN.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org, a public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is DC's DFS Challenge on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome back in, everybody. You are listening to the DC's DFS Challenge Show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, WWSRN, also presented to you by Belly Up Sports. And it's the second half hour, which means Mr. Chaz Filardi has joined the show. We missed you last week, man. How are you?
Well, three things. One, thanks. Yeah, you know what? You take a week off, but it's really like a 2-week break. So I would be really fresh, but I spent today at something I have never done before, and I am old, and I've never done this ever before. I was at a baby shower.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. You don't know how to take that, but they had the little pieces of bread with, fancy meats, and they had shrimp, and it was champagne on ice. It was really nice. And
as long as the spread is good, we're good. It
was great. It's the only issue I had is I sucked it up when all the guys were at the pool table playing and hanging out. And I was hanging with the ladies and being a ladies' man. So I had 5 ladies at a 6 top with me. And then they started doing what ladies do, which is talk about lady stuff. And now I know why guys don't talk. We could play a whole game of pool. And besides busting each other's chops over the shooting of the pool ball, we won't really talk about anything. The ladies, they get heavy, and they get heavy quick.
Yeah, and no one wants to deal with that when you're at a party.
Woo! And I finally said, listen, ladies, I'm not a big fan of patting myself on the back. And Dan, when I'm 12-2, I say I'm 12-2, but I realize I can go 2-12 next week. I said, but I just probably am more proud of myself for being able to sit here and listen to you guys, but I'm out of here. I'm leaving, and I'm not coming back.
You are a braver man than I, because I would have been the first one lined up.
Where's that spread?
No way.
But no, it was. Chris was right. The spread made it easy to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right. So the next thing is I got Miami. So we're live here. We're live. It's the bottom of the 10th. They're down 6-5. You know that guy that automatically starts on second base? I think we've talked about that. We don't like that. Yeah. But they just walked the guy. So now there's one out, bottom of the 10th. I've got Miami, and I've got him giving a 1.5. So a 3-run jack, and I'm doing okay. And then the third thing is Dodgers, the team total. This is we should have that button. We got to push that button. If you guys are just joining the show or you've been here from the whole time, here's how you make some money. The Dodgers are going to score more than 2 runs tonight. The team total is now down to 1.5, minus 143. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I'm going to hit this.
Yeah.
Don't walk, run.
Right, exactly.
Bet that. There's been a couple of crazy lines like that I've been noticing more and more in baseball, especially when it comes to the team totals or even the over-unders in general. Because in April, everyone has this mentality that all of these ace pitchers are already at their top prime. I think, Chris, we talked about this last week. Yeah. Are at the top prime of their game. They're not yet. They're not usually at the top prime of their game until about later on in May, sometime in June. This is a time where if you got like guys like Scherzer and them on the mound, I'm not worried about them going and throwing these, these one runners. They have them all set, all these lines so low. I'm betting the overs on a lot of these quote unquote ace matchups because in April they're not usually at the top of their game yet. They're not usually plugging more than the 6 innings yet.
No, and you're absolutely right. That second time around is when you got to pay attention to the team totals, because say it was 4.5, now it's dropped to 2.5 or 1.5. Well, there's still 2/3 of the game left. So if you do math, 66% of 4.5 is greater than 1.5.
Right. Exactly. And very few times your bet is going to be that mathematically sound. So definitely take advantage when it is for sure. I want to let you guys know that this second segment is going to be brought to you by Monkey Knife Fight, is a daily fantasy sports gaming website with a number of unique ways to win money on your favorite sports and players. It's a mix of daily fantasy and prop games. So all you got to do is download the app or go to monkeyknifefight.com with the promo code BELLYUP for $1 to match on your deposit of up to $100. It used to be $50. Now it's $100. That's a potentially an instant $100 free for you to use and play today. So use the promo code BELLYUP when you sign up at monkeyknifefight.com. And what was the third thing, Chaz?
The third thing was I started my Easy Sports data, and while I was listening to you guys in the first half and getting ready, I kind of wrote down what I've been saying for years. So what we did is we paid some really smart, you're talking about math guy. This guy is really smart. He came up with this program. So what we do is we get every line, every score for every game, all in one place. Easy Sports data, become a better, guaranteed.
That's excellent. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great way to really
So every day, I've won every
everything.
day. We started, I took my vacation. We got done on Monday. Tuesday, we loaded the whole first, 10 games of the season because we hadn't even looked at baseball up to that. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and today I've won every single time.
Yeah, so it's a must grab. It's a must grab for everybody out there. A must utilize tool.
It's nothing that we don't talk about all the time.
No.
If a team scores 3 runs or more every single game for 8 straight games and they don't have 3 runs, bet that they're going to have 3 runs. That's not rocket science.
No,
but
exactly.
Because Easy Sports data allows you to see that,
Right.
then you could isolate those.
Having
those
that
Works at baby
information.
showers too.
Yes, it does. Hey, we got a hit. We got a hit. He's rounded. Oh, he's going to the wall. We're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to win.
There it is. There it is, live on the show. And we hit already off the bat. Gotta love it.
You know what? Here's the thing. Baseball is boring as hell if you're a football guy, and I'm a football guy. All right, here we go. Okay, so we got the next game. Of course, did you see the Dodger Padre game? It was on late for me.
No,
it was on late
no.
for me.
I'm on the East Coast, man. I can't stay up for those games.
It went 12 innings, and I fell asleep, but I had it recorded. It was just a real good game, but they had everything you could want out of a game, including a benches clear with nobody threw a punch.
That's what COVID does.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm thinking,
social distancing,
Chris, if
benching,
I'm
clearing.
coming in from the bullpen, I'm hitting somebody.
No, man, I understand. Now you're pulling your mask off.
But yeah, so that it was really a real good game, and that's it. We don't have a basketball team. We had the Clippers; they're not here anymore. We had the Chargers; they're not here anymore. We've never really had a professional hockey team. We got the Gulls; they're pretty good. So this is what we got. San Diego is what we got. We're like the top 10 in cities. We have one team.
And it's really a shame too. I still to this day will never understand why the Chargers elected to move to Los Angeles, just given their history there, given that San Diego is a great city to have a sports franchise in, period. And yeah, I think it's crazy that San Diego only has a baseball team and nothing else.
It is. It's sad. It's sad.
It really is. Well, Chaz, you always come here prepared. I can't wait to hear what kind of bets you might have lined up. But what are you looking at for tomorrow as we move into the future?
Well, no.
Here?
So you got to realize, as soon as I'm done with this show, I'll go to work. I will load. We have. You guys are familiar with Don Best. They've been an industry name in sports betting for 30 years, I think. So we subscribe to their service, and they get us every single line. So we'll have every first 5-inning line for baseball. Now there's some double headers, those are even weird. We talked about when you were talking about pitchers not making it to the 6th or 7th inning.
Yeah.
There were 3 of them today. So there are 3 double headers. So then normally what I'll do is I'll regurgitate the data again, and I'll run it again after that game, putting in the new results and the new information. However, I was at a baby shower, so I didn't do that. But and then I will start printing out reports. Now the best one that isn't relative yet, but it will be, is the pitcher home and away report. I could tell you exactly what's happened in games when the guy that's pitching today pitched, whether he's home or away. And in baseball, guys, home and away makes a big difference. I think more than any other sport, it makes a big difference.
Chaz, let me ask you a question. With the doubleheaders, with the first game usually being 7 innings, does that change how you bet at all?
Without a doubt. Because really, what's the difference between 5 and 7, right? So it's like the first 5 innings doesn't change. The only thing that you notice is I look at, if I'm betting a team total, I may not bet that team total if it's the home team. Because, Chris, I'm only getting 18 outs, And that's the other thing. When you're betting, like today, I'm betting the Dodgers. Right now, the Padres have the bases. No, Clayton Kershaw's. Oh, but look at this. I was so excited about the Miami game. Clayton Kershaw, who, he's batting 400. He's a pretty good hitter. He's up with the bases loaded in the top of the 5th with 2 out, and it's 3-2. And the game's on TV here, but if we show it, we get in trouble. We did that once on our show. I don't know if you guys had ever done that.
I've never tried to.
Well, he had the TV on, just like see this picture right here.
Like in the background.
Yeah, he had the TV there with the game on backwards, so we couldn't even watch it really, and we got in trouble. Hey, Clayton Kershaw walked. Zach Minstry scores. Look at the luck we're bringing to the house tonight. But
Another one.
Right? What do we say? You can have a lot of apps, and they're all great. Oh, TikTok is the bomb. How much money TikTok making you? The Worldwide Sports Radio Network, since we've been together in August, Dan, how much tickets have we cashed? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. At this point, you look, at the end of the day, and this is what we do this for, you've been winning more money than you've been losing since you and I have gotten together on this show and talked about what kind of bets and what kind of DFS lineups, frankly, we like going into it. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. We're winning more than
Mikey
we're losing.
Too. Mikey's no slouch.
Yeah, and Mikey's been great too. Hopefully he's back next week. But Mikey and all you have to do for him is sign up for a membership. All you got to do is go to bellyupfantasysports.com/Mikey Bets. Put in the promo code Mikey Bets. You get half off any length of membership that he's offering you. And this guy, he's constantly working. Will always be in your pocket. If you got him in your pocket, not even just his free bets, which you can make money off his free bets too, by the way, which is always going up on social media at Belly Up Fantasy. But if you have him in your pocket with the multiple bets that he'll come through for you at the end of the day, I'm telling you, it's an investment. It's not betting. It's not for fun. It's an investment. You will come out on the other side.
Well, the other aspect of it is, and you mentioned the work. Okay, so there's 30 teams. I have to enter 15 first half lines, 15 first half scores, 15 game lines, 15 game scores. I got to hit the button. I got to separate by home and away. It takes about an hour and 15 minutes to run the data. Then you got to handicap it. So when you use somebody like Mikey's service or the Easy Sports Data program, all you're doing is trading money for time.
Yep.
But if you could be successful, because you can trade money for time and have losers too,
Oh, yeah. And there's going to be some of that. But ultimately, we're making out pretty okay. There's a game I have on my deck for tomorrow that I feel pretty good about the over on. And of course, when you're picking on Brooklyn, you're usually feeling pretty good about the over. But the line is set at 225 between Brooklyn and Miami tomorrow. That feels low to me.
We talked about that, especially with the Nets, because they were one of the teams that was going over a lot. The only problem is I've just noticed they're right in that heart of the push, right, for playoff spots. And you never know who's playing in those games. It's crazy.
Chris, what do you think about that?
I mean, it's interesting. Yeah, it's kind of low, especially because Brooklyn doesn't really have any guys who can stop anybody near the rim. Bam should have a big game tomorrow. They should be able to score. I mean, I think that game's really low scoring. Was it would you say 225?
It said 225. Over-under set at 225. It's shocking to me.
Now, hasn't Miami been playing pretty well recently, too?
They've been playing, especially offensively, they've been playing much more efficiently as of late as well. And you want to talk about a team, you just talked about the playoff push there, Chaz. This is a team that is jostling for position right now, even more so than Brooklyn. So they're going to have a reason in Miami to have a little extra, rump in their stuff and get going. So I'm just shocked that it's 225. Now, as far as the line goes, it's -6 in favor of Brooklyn. I'm probably going to stay away from that, but the total 225. Yeah, I'm hopping all over that. I can't believe it's that low.
Yeah, if you just glance at it, Miami has lost 5 of 6, but they've been over in 2 straight, whereas Brooklyn's won 4 of 5, and they've been over in 6 6 or 7, 5 or 6. But like you said, look at they give up 115 and win. They give up 123 and lose. They give up 126 and lose. They give up 111 and win. They give up 112 and win. So that they're not afraid. Once you get if the losing team gets to 110, you're covering you're cashing.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I don't see whether it's Miami or Brooklyn, whichever team is losing this game is definitely getting the 110 in my mind, which is why I think it's definitely a winner right there. And then the other one is Sacramento and Dallas. Dallas -8. I don't feel great about Dallas being able to cover that.
Well, it's weird because I guess maybe because some of the games are here, the place I normally get my lines is not showing the lines. You said 8?
-8. It's in Dallas.
Right. And again, that's where we talked about this on our show. One of the things I'm going to start doing is I'm looking at the standings. So though I'm not really aggressively handicapping, I've told you the story. I got a guy that his last name is Consultant on my show, and another guy is Investing. So I got Blackhawk West from 151 Sports Investing and John from GMF Sports Consultants. And these guys do it. They know what they're doing. So I kind of pay attention and really hop on their stuff. But one of the things we talked about is I like to focus on the middle. And I think one of the guys said 2 or 3 teams above the cut and 2 or 3 below the cut, because everybody else, some of the guys are in golf mode, right? At the very bottom. That's all they're thinking about. And the guys up the top just want to get rested. They don't want to get hurt. And that's the thing. You put your money on, you go to work. So you hit the casino before work, you put your bet in. Say you're in Vegas, like John is, right? And then at lunch, you find out the guy decided he don't want to play tonight. Yeah. So,
or the team didn't want him to play. The other game I'm looking at is Toronto, Oklahoma City. Toronto is -11.5. I want to hear Chris's thoughts on that one.
I mean, I guess they're figuring that Toronto's so banged up that they're not going to be able to compete in that game. But I mean, Oklahoma City.
No. Toronto is the favorite at -11.5.
Oh, they're favored by
Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Which is that was
Where's
more
the
than
game is it OKC?
It's in Toronto.
I mean, you said Van Fleet was supposed to be out. I heard he's questionable, so if he plays, I think they can do that easily. OKC's not.
But if he doesn't play, I think Oklahoma City could cover that line, and that's where I'd be kind of looking at it.
So how when because you guys deal with player props and the fantasy, when do you really zone in when there's games early on the weekend?
As far as when I'm going to place my bet.
When you make a decision that, the guy is going to play or the guy isn't going to play or this is going to happen.
I mean, that can sometimes be like a half hour before the game starts a lot of the time. So what I'll try to do, especially if I'm trying to get in on a particular line, like in this instance, if I think Van Fleet's not going to play, I feel pretty good that Oklahoma City will be able to be within 11.5 in this game. I'm going to want to get as much information as I can about 2 hours or so before the game. Because while he may not be officially ruled out at that point, that's before the line is going to move. So if I have pretty good information that I feel pretty confident he will be out, I will bet that before that line moves, before he officially gets ruled out, and try to take advantage of the value there. That's typically what I'll do when it's a big game-changing player like that.
And to your point,
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, now with your contest tomorrow, looks like you got 5 games to choose from. Some Sundays, it's a lighter schedule.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about that at the beginning of the show, right, Chris?
Yeah, we were talking about how it's ranged a lot this year. We've had of the 8 games, we had those 2 games, so it's been all over the place.
Yeah, so this was actually like tomorrow's, DC's DFS Challenge tournament at 5 games at 7 o'clock. It's kind of been the middle of what we've been kind of dealing with. But on top of it, and Chaz, I'm sure you've kind of realized this at this point, going through the betting lines, there's been a lot of players who are hurt. Not just guys that we're not sure they're going to play because of tanking reason. A lot of guys who are just hurt right now. And it's really making it very interesting, especially from a fantasy prop, a DFS prop, because you're getting guys who are only plugging 15, 20 minutes. Now they're getting, low 30s in minutes. And now it's a whole different rotation that you're kind of dealing with. And that's where you like to take advantage of the value for DFS. Chris, you can speak to this too.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for those guys who haven't gotten the minutes recently, and then all of a sudden you get a chance to play 20, 30 minutes out there and they produce or get a chance to get shots. We talk about Van Fleet. If he doesn't play, there's other guys who are going to handle the ball. They're going to get the assists. They're going to get the points. So you're looking for guys that are trying to step up their game when it comes to DFS scoring. And Chad, kind of speak about your point about, players playing and when we come to your decisions. The other thing with tanking is you're kind of talking about, you're looking for guys who teams don't necessarily want to rush back out there or don't necessarily don't want to make sure that they're not going to get hurt. So sometimes like a Van Fleet, where Toronto's kind of like not showing that they're trying to be competitive, he's got a good chance he probably won't play tomorrow.
Yeah, well, and then again, but here's the thing. From a betting under standpoint, right, on player props, there's nothing wrong with a guy that's normally getting 25 minutes and all of a sudden he's only getting 14, but the player props they're not going to tilt down that much. That's a big drop in minutes, but they know if you're used to betting Lillard or any of those guys over, they don't have to drop it too much, and people are going to still bet the over, even though, like you said, if you're looking strictly in minutes, he's playing 60% of the minutes, but they've only dropped the line 15%. So those are opportunities you go look at too.
Yeah, that's a great point of advice. I'll give you another game that I normally wouldn't touch a game like this, but because it's in Orlando.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Where's the link for this free contest tomorrow?
The link is right there in the comments section. If you're watching this on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network on your social media accounts right now, right in the comments section below, the link has been shared for the DC's DFS Challenge Tournament. Free to join, absolutely 100% free to join, and all you got to do is win. And then you get a chance for the drawing for $100 to championshipfootballs.com by my man here, Mr. Chaz Filardi.
And even if you're not a big-time basketball, if you ever watch basketball, just sit and watch it. Say nobody's home in your house, okay, and you're bouncing through the box, and a basketball came on, a basketball game, and you stop and watch it. If that describes you, why aren't you doing a free contest?
Exactly. Well, if you play any daily fantasy sports, never are you going to be able to join a free contest and have a chance to actually win a championshipfootball.com like what we're giving away here. And it's one of the things that I love that you're able to bring to the table and we're able to give away to our fans. And it gives us a lot of great interaction while we're able to continue to grow the show the way that we have been able to very successfully, because this show just started in August. We're not even a year into the show.
However, a year in August is when we will see. It takes like 4 months to get the basketballs.
Okay.
So in August, we'll be getting Baylor basketballs. These are going to be sick, beautiful basketballs.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
Baylor's not a big school. Baylor's not a big school, and they're a football school. But boy, they had a great season this year.
Oh, they did. They were a lot of fun. They were a lot of fun to watch. I think part of it, Gonzaga ran out of steam after that big emotional win against UCLA, but Baylor was a lot of fun to watch. I like big, lanky teams. There's one other game that I want to talk about before we skedaddle that I feel really good about tomorrow. Like I said, this is a game I wouldn't normally touch because there's two horrible teams. But it's in Orlando. It's only -1. Houston's got nothing. Was that Chris?
So you're going back to the Houston-Orlando game. We hit it hard.
I went to it for props. I picked everybody on Orlando's side, so I already think they're going to have a pathway for a decent statistical game from certain key players there. But it's -1. It's in Orlando. Houston's got nothing right now. John Wall's not going to play. They're resting him tomorrow. I'm taking Orlando -1. And like I said, normally speaking, this is a game I wouldn't touch because they're two horrible teams. But I'm going to take Orlando -1 in this one.
Yeah, sometimes when you get two horrible teams, one of them's still a lot better than the other one. But depending on, you see that in college football a lot. The lower levels of the ACC, when they're playing, they're both, 3 and 6 or whatever, and the line's -1 because what is it? But one of them's really better. The problem is, they're playing usually teams that are better than them, so now they get a team that's a little inferior. But you don't really see it if you're just handicapping, because if they did, it wouldn't be -1.
Right. Well, right. Exactly. What do you think about that game, Chris?
I mean, I think I'm going to go in the opposite. I understand what you're saying about no John Wall, but they play without John Wall a lot this year. Now, Houston's not the greatest team. They definitely are not, haven't been really super competitive, but they do have more players, I think, even in their lineup that are better than Orlando's lineup. No Bo Bamba. You got Carter. You got Michael Carter-Williams. You got Gary Harrison. You hopefully has a good
Williams
team.
Is out too.
But Orlando really doesn't have any scoring. I mean, you got Porter who can score a little bit for Houston. You got Tate can score a little bit, and they still got Christian Wood out there. I think they have a better chance to actually win than you think they do. That's a game I probably would avoid because I think it's definitely a pick 'em.
Like I said, it's a game I normally would stay away from, but because it's in Orlando.
Look how far Houston came from last season to this season.
No.
How the hell did you do that?
Houston basketball and Houston football, man, just bail. That poor city between their basketball and their football team, man, oh man, I do not want to be a Houston fan right now.
Man, just crazy.
It's brutal. I mean, what that city has endured. I mean, I hope for their sake the Astros are at least interesting because they got nothing else going on for them at this point. Like nothing whatsoever. You have all the Deshaun Watson crap off the field you're going to have to deal with. And if he doesn't play, you're already looking at being the worst team in the league. You will definitely be the worst team. I don't know if you win a game if you have no Deshaun Watson if you're the Houston Texans next year. Wow, and there's 17 of them. There's an extra game this year. And I don't even know if they'll win a game.
Yeah, that's a, I've seen a lot of stories in sports in my time covering sports and being a sports fan. That one's a weird one.
Have you ever seen an athlete be accused by 22, accusers? I don't think I've ever seen the number be that high for an active athlete. I mean, that's just me.
I barely knew 22 girls when I was in college. and again, don't get me wrong. You know what? I laugh. Remember the New England Patriot owner thing. I understand. I'm a big boy. I understand. But what are you looking for if you got to bounce around 22 different places,
Yeah, I don't. Apparently, there's masseuse by Instagram now. I have no idea.
Yeah. Who knows?
But yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal for Houston. There's really no other games tomorrow that I'm looking at. The only other one it would be Indiana, Atlanta. Atlanta's -4.5. There's a pretty good chance they cover that, just given where Indiana's at the moment. But even that, Atlanta's kind of banged up too, so I don't know how much I'm going to target that aggressively either. The over-under on that's 233. That's about right. I don't think you're getting really any value there in either direction. I kind of see that going either way. That's a solid line for what these two teams are bringing to the table right now. So
hey Chaz, we kind of depend on you in the hockey thing. You have anything in hockey you're looking at tomorrow?
No, but you know what? That a great segue. We do our cash tickets page where we text back and forth. And I was just going to say what happens is the guys will send me a play. Say it'll be Atlanta. And I'll look down and the Pacers are up 15-6 to start the game, right? And then in the second period, Atlanta's winning by 18. The NBA this year has been crazy. But no, I because it's really, remember, I just started baseball on Tuesday. I'm giving baseball all my love because she keeps giving it back.
Well, the NBA, I mean, just the lack of defense has been kind of borderline horrendous at this point, where it's just like, I mean, someone has to try at some point. Chris, I do.
But I mean, they're up by 18 after one. They're down by 15 at halftime.
Yeah, it's
what the hell happened?
The runs have been so aggressive one way or another. When pretty much all these NBA games, there's not even a team out there really playing defense. It feels like. Chris, I want to get your opinion on this one. Knicks, New Orleans. Knicks -2.5.
I like the Knicks a lot in that game. I think it's.
I like the Knicks a lot in that one too.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking too.
New Orleans is banged
we'll channel
up in
our
that
inner
game.
Mikey Bets on that one, and even that's another one. The over/under set at 221. That's also low. I would bet the over as well.
I'd be careful with that just because the Knicks do play a slower pace offense, and that they do keep the scores kind of lower as a result.
They have been scoring this past week and a half. They have been putting up plus 115 pretty consistently. So along that plane,
that's exactly the kind of stuff that I look for. I can handicap it because I've been doing this all. I can handicap a cockfight pretty quickly if I had the data on the chickens, But that's what I'm going to look for. I'm going to look for, what have they done 3, 4, 5 in a row? Because if you're, 13-6, that's a great number. But for all I know, you were 13-0, and now you're 0-6 in the last 6.
Right.
So I look for those 4 or 5, and if I find a team, like you said, put up 110, that's the key number, 110. If you lose, you get to 110, I'm going to get an overbet in.
Yeah. And again, but I feel really confident about the Knicks -2.5 against.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Especially with the way they've been playing, especially since it's in New York on top of it. That's
what team is tanking and New Orleans playing for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Zion's out there collecting stats. That's about it. That's all that's really going on. That's going to wrap it up for today's show, though. Remember, again, hit the DC's DFS Challenge Tournament. The link is in the comments below on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, on your social media platforms at WWSRN. Chaz, it's been wonderful having you on. Wonderful to have you back. We definitely missed you last week. Good to have you on. This show is missing something when we don't have you in that last half hour for sure.
It's not winners, because you guys do that on your own. I think I just have a little more energy because I'm only here for a half an hour.
And we appreciate every single minute of it. What are you talking about in your show coming up this Thursday on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Thursday night?
Well, Chris, you mentioned hockey. West, his name's Blackhawk West, so he's pretty good at hockey. But I think we're like 10-1 in our last 3 weeks, live action. Nice. And what we're trying to focus on is second period plays, so you can cash. So what I tell people is, listen, if you're not doing anything Thursday 8:00 Eastern time, why not win some bets?
Absolutely. I want people to know, because it's coming up, and I keep forgetting how close it is now at this point. The Belly Up Sports' MDs and BUFL's NFL draft coverage, the first round will be April 29th. We're kicking it off at 7:30, a half hour before the draft starts, because Mr. Chaz Filardi and Mike Brown, co-founder of Belly Up Sports, will be on that first half hour. We're going to preview it along with Chris and myself, talk about some pick-by-pick betting analysis, and we're going to kick off our first draft coverage, 4 hours streaming commercial free, and then another 4 hours streaming commercial free again on that Friday. Chaz is going to be on for the first half hour of that show as well. So that's 2 weeks away.
I just heard today that Hart, one of the sisters from Hart, is singing the national anthem.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, I just heard it on the sports channel.
Hey, Dan, you want to tell them why our show is going to be so cool with how we cover 3 different things that most shows don't even bother to cover in our draft show?
Well, yeah, because we're going to have over 50 different guests. And what that's going to allow us to do is we're going to have fantasy analysis, we're going to have football analysis, and then we'll be giving you the pick-by-pick betting analysis before these picks happen. So we'll read you off. Okay, we have these odds on these players that the Vegas has put out before those picks come up. We'll toss it around to everybody, see what we think is going to be, why, and then we'll try to get you some best value bets throughout. So that way, when your team's not picking, you still have something to be interested about throughout the entire draft process, on top of getting an edge on your fantasy analysis, getting a jump start on that for your dynasty leagues, and some regular football analysis. We want to talk about who's going to win the Super Bowl, and that comes back to our betting for later on in the futures as well. So it's going to be from every single different angle that we're going to hit you from. It's why I've been very excited about it. It's pretty much all of my time that I'm not doing this show or the MD show or the Belly Up Fantasy Live show. Whenever I'm not actually on air, all of my time has been towards getting ready for the NFL draft.
That's a lot of content. That much time is a lot of content.
It's gonna be a lot from a lot of different angles. So that's why I'm glad that Chaz and Chris and everybody who's going to be on that show, very, very exciting. We'll be dominating social media. We'll be dominating YouTube with that stream. That's going to wrap it up for us. You can find us at Belly Up MDFF Show. We'll be back with the MD's Fantasy Football Show at 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network next Friday. And then the following Tuesday, we'll be back with the Belly Up Fantasy Live Show at Belly Up Fantasy with Adam and Lamaro. We'll be talking about our NFL mock draft heading into the draft. And Mr. Chaz Filardi, as you always like to say,
always be cashing.
Always be cashing. We'll see you guys next week.